Oh yeah.
Can you see me all right?
Yeah, yeah, it's perfect.
This ugly mug.
Oh, you're beautiful. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise.
Thanks, man. I'm cleaning my desk. I never sit down here, but I mix all my drinks before I go running. I have all kinds of shit all over. It looks like I'm still doing a bunch of coke.
You just have random white powders laying around everywhere.
Right.
Yeah, I had to like clean up my little office area too, because like I don't know, I like a clean environment when I'm gonna
Right.
like try to do something like this. Just kind of have to.
I feel you. Dude,
But
you should have came down to trail maintenance. You could have seen the crazy course you're running in 3 weeks.
oh boy, how crazy are we talking?
You know, there's almost 6,000 feet of gain. Did you realize that?
Fun. I knew it was going to be a lot. I did. I went for like a fairly long run today, and I did 1,000, but that's far short.
You'll definitely you'll be running in mud and you'll have wet feet.
That's gonna be the fun stuff.
Yeah, regardless of what time of the year for this race, you will have wet feet on this course. So just be prepared for that. Yeah, there's no avoiding it, and especially in May.
Yeah, it's probably gonna. Who knows? It might rain or something like that. But yeah, I kind of just randomly decided to do it, just on like a spur of the moment thing.
You know, those are my two best friends, didn't you? Did I tell you?
I know you'd said that you knew them, but I wasn't aware.
Jeremy and Eric are both two of my bestest friends.
That's awesome.
Race directors. Yeah.
Huh. Yeah. So, and it was funny because I was looking for, I just kind of got the urge of like, okay, I want to do something like soon and not wait until September. So I was like looking and like I couldn't find, there aren't like a lot of races going on as compared to most years, because like a lot of them shut down COVID. So this was actually like the only one that kind of matched what I wanted. And then I just happened to also be in the same, basically the same place as the 50 mile. So
it is. Yep. And then I think we're going to progress you, and you're going to run Canal Corridor 100 with me.
wait, what's that?
That is the one I just signed up for. First weekend of October.
Oh, we're talking some quick progression here.
Nah, you're fine. 50 miles, beginning of August, the beginning of September. You will be fine. Yeah.
Yeah. See, the thing is, like, I believe that, like, I could do 100 miles maybe right now. I just like the amount of like pain and suffering I would have to go through to get to 100.
I think if you progress right now, that's very wise what you just said. Yeah, you train so you don't hurt after a race.
Yeah.
That's part of training too. It is. I think you'd be fine. And it is a very, I don't want to say, there's no 100 milers that are easy. This one is so well supported and it's flat, but it is so well supported. Yeah. It's
because I think that is what I want to do for my first 100 mile is like something that isn't going to wreck my shit too much,
No,
relatively.
No, I'll run with you. I'll stay by your side and I'll keep you healthy. I've never hurt anybody yet.
Yeah.
Think about it. It's such a fun race.
You
run along the canal the whole way.
Yeah, I'll see.
And you drink, don't you? You have a few beers, don't you?
I mean, the answer is I don't not drink, but like I can probably count on my hand the last I can count on one hand with probably one finger the amount of times I've drank in the last like year. So like,
because it ends at a brewery. It starts at a brewery and ends at a brewery.
If I'm doing a 100-mile race, the last thing I need is alcohol. I literally, it wasn't that long ago. I drank like it was probably like I think I had like one beer. I forget when, but I drank one, like just one normal, and it fucked with my sleep. And I woke up and I felt hungover from like one beer, and like it's just what old age feels like because this is ridiculous.
No, I can give you the recipe. You just keep drinking. Hair of the dog. I don't recommend it. I don't recommend it, but
I had my alcohol phase, like when I was in the Army, and I like
Right.
got all that shit out of my system,
Yeah.
all of it. I drank enough to satisfy that urge for sure.
Right. Isn't it kind of shitty? Well, it's just what the military does. I don't know if it's, I don't actually, I don't think the military is any different as a rite of passage to drinking than fraternities are, actually.
Yeah. I mean,
It's
the
just that
military is kind of a fraternity. Like you live in a
it
dorm,
is.
basically.
Exactly. It is the male ego thing.
For sure.
Oh,
Yeah. That's kind of because I mean, all you're getting is usually, this is like a stereotype, but usually it's like, and I include myself in the stereotype, but usually it's like younger males don't have a super defined purpose in life and are just kind of looking for their place in society or to elevate their status, find themselves type of thing.
you give them
And
a gun and alcohol.
yeah, you give them a gun, alcohol, and then they're like, okay, let's figure some shit out. So it kind of
Right.
goes many ways.
Yes, absolutely.
But so I was thinking because like we did like the whole last podcast, and we went through your kind of like your whole life and everything. And then I was like, oh man, like we didn't really like end up hitting too much on like all the ultra running and stuff like that. which especially too now that I want to like get into that a little bit more. I was really like interested in like all those experiences, like all the like times you didn't finish, times you did finish, like all the things that went on with all of that. So I guess I'm curious what like the first ultra you ever did, like where was it, how far, and how was that?
The first ultra was the Huff 50K. That was in 2012. Like the last.
And that was right around the time you kind of like
December.
really got sober last, right?
I was still sober at that time, but I hadn't relapsed. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah. And I was March, April, 9 months into the HIV.
Oh, okay.
I think I had started meds just before that. So it was 2 months after my first marathon, the Huff 50K, middle of the winter. It's in Indiana. Actually, my counselor at the time, the guy that started Racing for Recovery, he was running it with me. It was his idea. And this is a kind of, screw it, I don't care because I don't like the guy. This is the kind of douchebag he is. It was all about him. We did run together till mile 22. Now, mind you, I had just run my first marathon, so I was still timid. I was still fucked up in the head over like the HIV a whole lot. I was just 9 months with the HIV and just wasn't confident. I wasn't arrogant like I am now. Not that I'm arrogant. I can be. I had no confidence. And he ditched me at mile 22 because it was too cold. And
really?
I finished. It sucked, dude. It was shin deep snow. We drove in a blizzard to get there. We probably shouldn't have drove, but I finished. But it was miserable. And I was just like we were just talking, I was sore the next week because I was not trained. And it was just I shouldn't say the word just. I hate that word. Just and only. We sell ourselves short when we use those words. But it was a 50K and I was dead. And once again, just like I had said prior, after the Marine Corps marathon, man, I'm never fucking doing that again.
That's the runner's motto, I think.
Then I just actually my next ultra was a 100 miler in 2014. Wow. Yeah, right after I had relapsed. No, July of 2015. July of 2014 was my first introduction to the 100 miles. That's when I crew and paced Eric, and he dropped at mile 86. And that was the Burning River. And the following year, it was either last weekend of July or first weekend of August of 2015 was my first 100 miler. And I dropped at mile 86. I went in very arrogant, very cocky, I'd only seen 100 miler before. But I saw some of the people doing it and I'm like, man, them motherfuckers can do it. I can. And my longest race, or not race, my longest training run was actually the Glass City Marathon, which is the last weekend of April. That was my longest run prior to a 100-mile race 3.5 months later. So, and my weekly totals back then leading up to that 100-miler were probably 50 would have been very stretching it. I was probably 25 to 30 miles a week going into that 100-miler. And I ran really, really well. I mean, I ran the first 50 in like 10.5 hours. Didn't know nothing about nutrition. Didn't really know anything about it. I would just, and from mile probably, I'd say about the 100K mark till I dropped was just running on pure spite. Got to finish this. No, physically, I was drained, and mentally, I just kept pushing myself. And when I got to mile 86 to that aid station, I couldn't eat. I was beyond tired. And that was only, I had 6 hours. No, I had 5 hours to do that last 14 miles. So I was at hour 25 of running, because that's a 30-hour time limit. And from that aid station to the next was like 6 miles, 5.8, something like that. And I was like, there's no way I'm getting stranded in the woods and sitting down and falling asleep out there. And I looked at my pacer, and all the people at the aid station tried to get me, they tried to motivate me like they do. And I'm just like, I'm fucking done. I'm done. And it's called, that part of the race is called Covered Bridge. It's not Burning River changed their course. I'm not sure if you go through Covered Bridge. I think you do, but it's not at that point of the race anymore. But that was like after you got past Covered Bridge, it was probably some of the more easy part of the course left. And that's what they kept telling me. But so it's this old bridge, and I just went in the bridge and I cried like a little bitch. Put my head between my knees, leaning up against the wall, and then, for about 5 minutes, I had the little kid fat lip going.
Yeah.
And then the tears came, and then I was just like, they were trying to talk to me, and they knew I just didn't want to talk to anybody. Everybody that was around was, and then I just kind of got up, and I'm like, you know what? I fucking ran 86 miles. I said, and I did. I looked up. I'm like, God, you let me run fucking 86 miles. What the fuck? From a 50K to 86 miles. And I learned a lot from that race. I probably could have finished. Looking back, there isn't, would have, could have, should have anymore. But I started out way too fast. I started out cocky. But I learned a lot. And it was, I don't know if it was my best learning experience in ultras, but it was definitely a good one. And next year, I finished it. I finished it with, that was my fuel for the whole year, probably. For that whole year was going back and redeeming myself at that race. And trying to think if I did any ultras in between there even again. Yeah, I did. So that was August. Yeah, about 3 weeks later, I ran a 50-miler in Marquette, Michigan.
3 weeks.
Yeah, three weeks later, I ran the Marquette 50-miler with the same guy that paced me, my friend Dave. So it was a friend of his was supposed to run it, and he got hurt. So he's like, do you want to go up to Marquette? And I'm like, no, I'm done running, because I was a bitch. no, I DNF that race. I'm done. I'm not a runner anymore. You know, I go through
I've retired from running.
Yeah, I go through those fucking bitch phases. So, finally, about a day later, and you know, Marquette, I was living in Michigan at the time, Toledo, Ohio. So Marquette's like an 8-hour drive to the Upper Peninsula, anyways. And work happened to fall into play because we were working 4 10-hour days. So I could get off, we could leave Friday morning, head up there. So I'm like, yeah, let's do this. Yeah, I'll do it, Dave. So we emailed the race director and he said, sorry, no bib transfers. Like, fuck. So then Dave sends him an email. Dave is a veteran also and a member of Team RWB. So he sent him, he said, hey, we're 2 veterans, blah, blah, blah. And I sent the race director an email also. And I'm like, hey, you know, I'm a Marine Corps veteran. I'm in recovery. I'm HIV positive. I run these races because it keeps me sober. And he said, he didn't give a shit about all that. He said, I'll do anything for veterans. So we got the bib transfer and man, it was an awesome race. I went up there, I talked to the race, I can't remember his name. But when we got there, we met the race director at packet pickup. And all of a sudden, Cocky Bob comes back out, and I'm like, you know, I think I'm going to tear your course up. And he asked me, how are you going to do? And I said, I think I'm going to tear this course up. And he's like, really? How many ultras have you run? I'm like, well, I ran the Huff 50K, and 3 weeks ago I DNF'd at mile 86 of the Burning River 100. That's it. He goes, oh, all right. He said, yeah, the Burning River. He said, that's all right. He said, I've ran that. I'm like, oh, shit. He said, you know, I got a lot of elevation. I forget the elevation, but it was a lot of climbing. You hit the three tallest, highest points of the Upper Peninsula in that race. So I ended up, I think, 8th overall and 2nd in my age group, though. But it was really fun. I met, it was a huge confidence builder, but it also humbled me too. When I came in, so you come in at the 50K mark, the people that run the 50 miler, and then you have to go back out and reverse 19 miles of the course, which was all the climbs again. So those 3 points, the highest points in the UP, you hit them twice, each one. You go up, down, up, down, up, down to the start finish line. Then you go back out, up, down, all the way around. So when I got there at the halfway mark, or a little over at the 31-mile mark, he asked me how it's going. I go, dude, this course is humbling me. I said, I'm having a great time. I'm having a blast, but your fucking course is humbling me. And when I finished, and they told me that I was 2nd in my age group, I'm like, holy shit. He said, how do you feel now? I said, I'm tired. I said, I've learned a lot. I said, and once again, your course humbled me. But I said, it was a great race and you put on a great race. And so that was like 3 weeks after. And then I ran that Huff again in December of that year, because that one's close to home in Michigan. And it's like a lot of people in the like tri-state area, Detroit, Michigan, Ohio, Indiana, all run that race because it's the end of the year usually. It's the last weekend of December. So it's like the last hurrah, let's run a 50K. Let's end this year right. And then, so I ran that, and then ran the Glass City Marathon again leading up. And then in June of 2015, I ran, 2016. I was living with Eric in Canal Fulton, and it was the first year for the Eagle Up Ultra, 24-hour ultra, which now this year is the largest 24-hour race in the world.
That's kind of like a different level, you know, the like time thing instead of like a distance, where I kind of like that concept because I feel like
they're fun.
They're fun.
So that one's a 5 mile loop, and you got 24 hours.
But I don't know. It seems like it's kind of cool because it's like there's no finish line per se. It's just
No,
like how much can you do? It's you against
exactly.
yourself,
You
even
against the
more.
clock. But the thing about Eagle Up, which is different than a lot of the 24-hour races, so they do have a medal for a 50K finish, a 50-mile finish, a 100K. They also have one called a 50-50, which is a 50-miler plus a 50K, a special medal. That's 81 miles. And then, of course, a 100-mile buckle. So, but that was the first year for it. And I ended up first male overall and second place overall. I got beat by a chick who is now a good friend of mine by 25 miles.
Wow, she was
Yeah,
killing it.
she hit 105 and I quit at 80. I had more left in me, but I was tired. It was a hot day and that was more of a training run for me. It was a race, obviously, but it was also leading up to my redemption race in like 6 weeks at the burning river.
Like
So
after going that far, like at 81 miles, like was there something specific that you were kind of like, okay, like I think this is good? Like what finally like made the 81st mile kind of flip the switch in your brain? Like, okay, I'm good now.
no, I quit at 80 miles.
Or 80 miles. Yeah, like what made you decide like, like I'm good now?
Because once again, my mind was like, so it's a 5-mile loop. I'm like, I don't fucking feel like going 5 miles. That was about it, really. I was tired. I still didn't know a lot about nutrition. And I still don't. It changes every race for me. It sucks. It's a hard thing I have a couple go-to things, but that energy level, I didn't have it then. I really didn't have it then. I was just shot. I was beat. Once again, which is my MO still to this day, I took off too fast. I start these races way too fast. In my mind, I'm an elite. And I always think I can be there. It's proven I can't over and over. And slowly I'm getting better at starting the races. So,
What pace did you start at? Do you know, like for that race?
I was probably running, we ran the first 20 miles in about 3 hours and 50 minutes. So I was running about an
Which is good for a marathon,
8:20. What's that?
Which is like, like that's like a good pace for a marathon, but when you got 60 more miles to go,
exactly.
That's a rough one.
Yeah, I'm not an elite. I mean, Zach Bitter just ran just today. There's a race called Jackpot, and it's the U.S. National 100-mile championship. So that guy just ran 100 miles in 12, I think 12:10 or something. Whatever it was.
Because he had set the record previously. Did he
break it? Yeah, he didn't. He broke the course record at the race out there, but also, so it's so funny. There was a race in the UK today where the world record was beat 11 hours and something for a 100-miler. 6:40 pace for 100 freaking miles.
That's just, I don't even understand the level of conditioning.
Yeah. Well, try to understand me. I think I can do that at the start of races sometimes. I still do. It sucks. I'll have really good like interval training going and I'll be running some of my training runs fast. And then I'll be like, I'll get in the race. I'm like, yeah, this is going to be the one where I fucking run an 18-hour 100. And by mile 50, I'm spent. And when I say tank, I don't DNF. I just tank and I end up being out there 28, 29 hours.
Yeah. Yeah, we're starting seeing like the upper limit.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. So then from that Eagle Up, I went to Burning River and I did tear that course up. I didn't sub 24. I ran like 25. I think it was 25, 28. And never really had any dark low points. I did there's about a 5K loop that's at Pine Hollow. That was kind of dark and shitty through there. And there were a couple things that happened during that part. It was right before I took my HIV pill, which I don't take that med anymore. But that one used to make me a little nauseous at night. And I had taken that. Well, I took that at the aid station before we went out. And at that point, that was mile 78 when you go out on that little loop there. No, 72. And you end up at mile 75 coming back. And it was one of my hardest loops at the race when I DNF'd also. It's at that point where the sun's the sun's just about down. It's, beyond dusk. I took that pill and I was just a little spent on there. We got through it. My pacer got me through it, Todd. And when I came out of there, that was the only never really thought about dropping. I was just like, man, this is fucking sucking right now, Todd. And he's the one that the day after the race said, hey, do you think it had anything to do with taking your pill? I'm like, yeah, it did. It absolutely did when I thought about that. So, and then from there, I just, I did breeze through the last, whatever it was, 12, 22 miles. Yeah, you get there at 78. The last 22 miles, I did pretty much breeze through it, just had fun. I didn't run the whole way, but I never, even when I was walking fast and enjoying the company of my pacer. And I had a friend of mine's daughter who was 21 at the time. She paced me my last 10 miles. And she was in recovery also, young in recovery. And we were just buddies. We had a blast, just laughing, being inappropriate and just laughing, having a blast. And when I finished, that's when I'd already started like giving away my medals and stuff, but this was a fucking big gaudy belt buckle I was finally getting for my first one. And Summer, there was like everybody, it was my first finish. There was a lot of people from Team RWB at the finish line. They're all taking pictures and congratulations, blah, blah, blah. And I just saw Summer out of the corner of my eyes standing by herself. And I'm looking at this medal and I'm like, fuck this thing. And I walked over and put it over her neck. I said, you keep this bitch. I don't need this motherfucker. And she said, what? I said, yeah. I said, you helped me get through the last 10 miles. You helped me train. I said, I don't want that bitch. Thing's gaudy. and yeah, she still has it. So the next day I was telling her, I'm like, you know what the coolest thing about me giving you that medal? And she's like, what? Oh, no. First she said, you're not getting it back. I said, no, I don't want it back. I said, the coolest thing is throughout that whole race, it was my first 100-mile finish. There were so many pictures taken throughout the race and posted on social media by all my friends and everybody that was there. I said, nobody saw me give that to you. Nobody took a picture of that. I said, that's our memory for the rest of our lives as we both stay sober. You got that to remember this. So, and her mom's still my friend and she's still my friend too. So it's pretty cool.
That's the cool things about running that kind of like attracted me to it the first time I did the Mohican Marathon was just like how cool everybody is. Like
so much cooler. So much cooler than road marathons.
That's what I was gonna say, because I did a road marathon, like kind of a normal. I did the Hamilton Night Glow. I don't know if you've heard of that one. And it's just like a flat pavement marathon, kind of in a city area. And you know, I kind of showed up to it, and like the vibe was just different. You know, everyone was kind of just, you know, kind of chilling, like just in their own thing. Like there was no, like everyone was just kind of there for themselves, and everyone kind of ran it, and it didn't like the vibe.
Beat that clock. Just beat that clock.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what it was. Yeah, it just had a different feeling to it. Because like when I got to Mohican, it just felt good. Like it felt.
Oh yeah, you should have seen what a douchebag I was when I ran road marathons.
Just blowing by everybody.
Yep, I didn't care. Oh, looks like that guy's having a heart attack. Sorry about his luck.
Yeah.
I got a time in my head I got to beat.
Yeah.
And yeah, it just, yeah, the camaraderie and trail running is just so much. It's so
I think
awesome.
it is, maybe it's in part because, obviously like people who do trail running might be into nature a little bit more chill. But I think
Yeah.
also like trail running, one, it is harder than most pavement marathons or ultras or anything like that. So I think
Um,
it almost forces, it kind of forces people to go into go through more adversity, more difficulty, and you have to
yeah.
like work through shit. Like when you cried after the mile 81 or
Yeah.
whichever one.
86.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like when you cried after that, because I cried after my first marathon, which like shocked me. Like
Yeah.
it
The
just baffled.
emotion.
I was
Yeah.
literally crying in the car on the drive home, and I was just mind boggled as to why I was crying right now. Like I couldn't understand
Yeah.
it. And I think it's just
Yeah.
like going for a run like that where it's like hard and you over a long distance, you just like work through shit you don't even know you are at the
Right.
time.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I haven't really lost it since when the first 24-hour treadmill thing I did for the Heron Project, that was that same year. That was December of 2000, December of 2016. Yeah, I did. I broke down. I broke down and cried just because it was so emotional. The people, yeah, I get goosebumps saying this right now, but just the people that I did it at this little gym in Canal Fulton called Snap Fitness, and we kind of promoted it. We promoted it pretty well, but the Heron Project, there were other runners doing it across the nation at the same time in different areas. Um, but the people that I had, the police chief went to talk to him of Canal Fulton about addiction and recovery. So he sent police officers in uniform while I'm running on a treadmill at Snap Fitness. They had a donut eating contest that they paid to go into. And then all that money went into this big glass jar that we had. And dude, when I got done at 24 hours, I was spent. Trust me, treadmill sucks. But when I looked over in that jar, and I could I couldn't get I've told you at the time, I couldn't have guessed how much money was in there. But when I saw $100 bills in there, I'm just like, what the fuck? Because I got on a treadmill. People gave money because I got on a treadmill. And yeah, I lost it, kind of like I'm being a little bitch right here for a second. But um it was cool. It ended up being almost 4 grand, 3,800 and some change in 24 hours. Um
Yeah, I mean,
that
those are just like
those are the
super
cool.
moments
What?
because it just that's just like one of those moments where it's just like super powerful because you just I like to like look in my environment for like things to confirm my belief that humans are inherently good. And
Yeah,
then when I have such like a when you have like a concrete example like that just laid out in front of you, it's like a really powerful
it was.
thing.
Yeah. There's something else too. I mean, so because I've already shared my story, um, today's my granddaughter's second birthday, who I haven't got to meet yet. So that's not weighing on me. Um, I'm not keeping myself sober to meet her. I'm keeping myself sober for me because if I don't stay sober, there will never be a fucking chance to meet her. Does that make sense? It's
Yeah.
got to be me first. It's selfish. Um,
I mean that's
it,
what it's all about though sometimes. It's just like
it's knowing the fact that as long as I keep doing this for me, there's no fucking doubt in my mind those relationships are going to be patched and I'm going to meet that little girl
yeah.
someday. Yeah. Yeah. It's not like I'm solely doing this to meet her. I'm solely doing it for me first, for all the good that comes from it. You know, it
Yeah.
sucks. It hurts. It hurts. But I also have to look back at constantly in Brian's life, my son, saying, I'm going to change. I'm going to change. And when I changed in 2008 to 2014, he was so proud of me because I did it for so long. And I think I said in that last podcast, it was the final dagger when I relapsed in 2014. Do I blame him? Nope, I can't. He saw it so many times from the time he was born, you know. So that's enough of that. But I mean, I continue to do the things I do for me because of the gifts that will come from it.
Yeah. Do you like does stuff like that like really run through your mind like when you're running?
No, when it runs through my mind, when the lights are off and I'm tossing and turning in fucking bed,
Yeah.
can't sleep.
There is something about that. That as soon
Yeah,
as
I think that's all of us though. It's always and
yeah.
I don't dwell on it, no. And I guess actually there's emotional parts in races where I'm running. I'm like, fucking doing this. I wish they could see what I'm doing in ways, But yeah, probably. But yeah, most of the time where it goes flip does all the flip flops is right over in that bed over there. But you
Yeah,
get through
I
it.
think
It
it's
is
similar to like have you ever meditated before?
and you know what's funny about that?
What?
Today that you asked that, because today, when we were doing trail cleanup or trail maintenance for the race coming up, the Nomies race, there was a lady there who I'd never met. I know her from the ultra community where we live here. I know who she is. And she was talking about meditating. And I said, yeah, every time I try to fucking meditate, my brain's like, you should be fucking running right now, you asshole.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
because my
because
mind,
I think
and yeah, it just, and I think my meditation, no, I don't like sit Indian style on the floor and meditate per se. I'm not saying, I'm in that perspective, but I do meditate when I'm running. There's those silent, I pull the earbuds off and I'm just running. And that's my kind of meditation. Maybe I do need to get to another place of it, but I'm so high strung. It's it's hard for me to just sit there, you know. And I guess maybe the little prayers that I say at night, laying in bed, is my meditation. But like I don't sit Indian style with the peace signs and meditate like it's perceived, And I
yeah.
think it's a different perspective for all of us what meditation is. Also, for me to meditate when I'm running now compared to 3 years ago when it was continual hate hate metal, speed metal, and punk rock in my ears continually in a race, to now being able to pull the music out and listen to running Tuscazor 100 last year, 100% music free. That's the growth of my meditation, maybe in a nutshell.
Yeah, I think it all what I found is that like it all kind of parallels. It's like if you're driving to, Columbus, you can kind of like you can take this highway or you can take this highway and like they both give you different scenery and different things, but you're kind of you're going in like the same general direction. Like I
Right.
really find that running gives me something like meditation and
Yeah.
like, I need it because like even when I meditate, which I was going to bring up because of like the tossing and turning thing, because my brain will
Right.
do the same thing at night a lot of times, and as soon as I like sit down to meditate, like my brain just like explodes with everything, and it can be like what I'm having for lunch and like what I'm gonna
Right. Right.
shopping for, and it's just this explosion of just everything,
I hear
and
you.
because I don't know, I enjoy thinking and I like being in my head a lot, so it's hard for me to like kind of view that mode and kind of work with that without just getting into this whole thought craziness thing.
Right.
And I think I found that, and it's something you might like too, because I think you might have kind of the same thing as I do with that. Is a lot of
ADHD.
times if yeah, something kind of like that, like if I go for a run and like I don't know, I guess I'll backtrack. I feel like everyone has like an allowance of energy, every day, where it's like, here's your energy for the day. Use it however you want.
Right.
And you know, and if it's not used, then it starts coming out in anxiety and depression, and it starts
Yeah.
oozing out, you know. But if I run and expel that, a lot of like my allowance, then when I get into meditate, I can kind of like get into that spot a little bit
I hear
easier,
you.
expelled that, you know.
Yeah. What was I was going to add to that. I forget what I was going to say. It's hell getting old. Don't get old, Wes. Don't get old.
I wasn't planning on it, you know.
Yeah, I forget where I was gonna talking about meditating. I don't know. I
Yeah,
forget.
I don't know. It's just I don't know. I because meditation was like my first, I guess you could call, form of meditation. That was like what I first started with, and then I got into running afterward.
Right.
And oh, actually, what I was curious about too is I feel like this is something that I haven't really seen talked about a lot. Is like the power of like running without headphones and without music. Like when was the first time you ever tried that?
Supposedly you know all the elites run without music.
Mhm.
There's something to be said on that. Slowly I am transforming. I really am. Um, and I find it more peaceful without music. But there's also that times I need it when I run intervals still. So, but like I ran, that was my toughest race, Tuscaloosa 100 mentally. And I did that without music and I got through it. So, oh, I know what I was going to say. Just back up a little about the energy. We only have so much. Have you got to the point now? For me, most of my runs are not energy. I'm not using energy. Does that make sense? They're relaxing. Even
Yeah.
my training runs are relaxing. I can come home and be exhausted from a day of spraying, climbing up and down a ladder, spraying a whole house, and come home and just be exhausted coming home and sit down and be like, ah, fuck, I got 12 on the books. All right, let's go do it. And as soon as you start it, it does you're not tired anymore for me. That's what I don't what's the word? I don't need energy to run. You know, I just don't. It's just that relaxing thing anymore. You
Yeah,
know,
maybe I'm trying to think. Maybe there's like a better way to word it, because what I've found with like as I've kind of really gotten back into running more and like running after work and stuff like that is like before I would get caught up in this pattern of like I would get home from work and I'm like so tired. I'm like, oh, like I don't want to like, you know, even do anything. I'm just
right?
so tired. And I also would get into like the I don't have time mindset where like I don't have time for
Exactly.
this, I don't have time for that. And I like knew, like I've always said, like I always knew that was a lie that I was telling myself, but I just like could not get myself to understand that it was not true. And
Right.
then when I started running and like would run after work or whatever it is, I would find that even though I was tired, I would have more energy to do things overall.
Right.
And I get the same thing with meditation too, is that, and then all of a sudden, like I don't have the same time issues that I had before. Like all of a sudden I have time to do this, and then I have time to do that. And it's like, is this even like is this even like is this a video game? Because it's just like things aren't working. It should be that like I run and I'm more tired and less energy to do things and less time to do things, but it's reverse.
Exactly. Exactly. It's the ultimate antidepressant. There's no doubt. No doubt in my mind. But the
That's it.
pharmaceutical companies won't tell you that.
No, and it's funny because, you know, oftentimes if you say something like that, then you get pushback of us like, well, you don't know what it's like to, you know, be this way or feel this way. And I'm sure there's plenty of people who, you know, like have a chemical imbalance
I
and
agree.
have
Yes,
problems. And, you know, obviously it's not making a blanket statement about this, but there is something to be said for if you
absolutely.
run whatever is, if you run a solid, for me, it's usually like somewhere between at least 8 miles usually is what I need to like really
Okay.
hit that
Yeah.
thing.
Yep.
And I can't describe it. And if you do that consistently, like I went on a fairly long run today, and it's, it just eliminates all the edge, like to
Right.
me. Like there's no hard edges, it's just
Absolutely.
smooth.
Yep. I haven't ran for a week, believe it or not.
Really?
Yeah. Well, me and my conspiracy theories and anti-COVID, it kicked my ass, Wes.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
feel you.
Yeah, it did. I mean, the actual time I had it didn't. I ran a week ago Saturday. A week ago today was the last time I ran, and we went out. My friend Jen, who I'm training, had a 25-mile training run, and I felt decent. I mean, 2 days before I ran like 6 miles, making fun of COVID, and ran it at 7:40 pace. And Sunday or Saturday when we ran, we were doing a 3-mile loop, and we got to mile 12, and I'm like, I think I'm done. I said, my body is spent. She said, are you okay? I said, I don't know. So she said, well, I'm going to do at least one more. I'll drop you off at home, and then I'll run you home, and then I'll come back, because I rode with her. Well, I ride with everybody. We've already discussed I'll never have a driver's license. But, so we did one more loop, and went to eat. I came home and I looked at my Coros app. We ran 15 miles in like a 10:50 pace, I think. 10:50, 10:55. I was in the red zone of my heart rate for 70% of that run, which it shouldn't be for me. I should have been at that pace. I should have been maybe 10 to 15%. And that's when I knew that it was definitely, my body was still healing. And that's when I knew taking a week off would not, if anything, I'm going to come back stronger and faster. And then so I was exhausted that day. I was exhausted Sunday, Monday. I was getting winded going up and down a ladder at work still.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tuesday was, every day got a little better. And Friday, yesterday, I felt almost normal. And today, climbing the hills, I had a leaf blower on my back and carrying a rake and stuff. I felt I wasn't winded climbing. I'm actually going out at 9 tonight. She's got 22 miles to run, so I'm gonna run 22 with her tonight. But I'm also gonna, what's that?
Jumping right back into it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, it's 22. Who cares?
Yeah.
But if I feel I'm smart enough, I'm not as arrogant and cocky as I used to be. I can still be there, but I'm not. I'm a very smart runner now. If I'm feeling spent,
Yeah, that's what.
I'm
That's
done.
what I feel like I have to learn.
Yeah,
That's the part that gives me that like nervous excitement, is like I don't know these things. Like I don't know like what I need to do whatever run I'm doing, or like, you know what I mean? Like I have a general
yeah.
idea, but so that's what interests me. How long did it take you to like start figuring out like what you
Start
need,
being smart.
and everything?
It's still a work in progress, actually. We're men. We're men. We got egos. We're both in the military. We got egos. We can do anything. Just knowing a year ago at this time is when I was almost injured and couldn't run anymore. So going through that and learning to listen to your body. If you're tired, stop. Losing out a couple miles on a training run because you're not having fun, you're not going to finish that race that you're training for. If you're out there and it's not fun, why the fuck are you doing it? That's kind of my attitude and the things that I've learned. Now you can't have that attitude with every run. Man, this sucks. I don't want to do this long run. But if you're actually out there being miserable and you think you're going to run through it, you can if you want, or you can say, you know what, fuck it. Tomorrow's another day. I'm going to go home and have that banana split that's on my mind, or whatever. It's just knowing your own body. We're all different. You have to learn to relate and not compare to everybody, because you're going to find your own way. You can pick apart my brain and other runners, and you're going to learn what's going to work for you. But if you're not happy, if you're miserable on a run, why are you doing it? Ask yourself that. And you're not, I promise you, you're not going to finish that race. You will finish that race regardless if you say, damn, I missed that one training run. That sucks. I'm not going to finish this race. Bullshit. You will. And for me, it's, why am I doing it if I'm miserable? It's actually, go back, maybe a metaphor to the drugs. Eventually it was, why am I doing this? I'm miserable anymore. It's not giving me the same effect. I'm not enjoying this high. It's a job. So incorporate, I guess that's just kind of dawned on me right now talking to you. I guess that's probably the same attitude that I have there. If it's miserable, if it's a shitty, miserable training run, fuck it. And that's what I tell Jen and anybody else that I kind of work with, because I'm not really a coach per se or a trainer or anything. I don't have that sheepskin hanging on the wall behind me. But it's all just trial and error too. But
yeah, that's what like when I first started running, I was like really in the mindset of like, like I have to do this no matter what, like, and like a very like tense mind state, and I would like, force myself to run when I really didn't want to, and all of that.
Yeah.
And I ran a marathon, so you can kind of like skate by on like a distance like that, and like just, kind of whatever. And then I have kind of like flipped that a little bit, where I started testing out the mindset of like, if I don't want to run, I won't do this training run. And
Right.
what I found was is that I had been like lying to myself the whole time, and I really did want to do these runs, but I just kept convincing myself that I'm forcing myself to do this and I don't want to do this. And then when I actually gave myself the option, I was like, oh yeah, I actually really do want to do this.
Exactly. Yeah, we all figure that out. And the other thing, there's nothing wrong with walking either.
Oh, I'm gonna be walking on the miler, I would guarantee it.
Oh yeah. But I mean, even in your training runs, I used to be like, especially when I first started and I was back in my hometown, be like, these motherfuckers, if they see me walking, they're gonna think I'm a pussy. I'm Bob Mohr, the runner. Now if I feel like walking, I'm gonna walk, and walking will make you just as strong. I mean,
that's something I got humbled on with the Mohican Marathon.
Yeah.
I had no idea what I was doing. I had no idea what the course was, even remotely. So, if we started going, you go through like the little road pavement part in the beginning, and then you hit the trails, and then within the first little bit, you start going up a hill. And like all these people start walking. It's like a single file trail. And I'm just like freaking out in my head. I'm just like, we barely started. Why are you people walking? Like, I can't, this is just stupid. Like, start running. And I finally get some space and I start running. I'm like, finally got past all those slow runners. And then I hit the next hill. I'm like, oh, this hill sucks. And then I hit the next hill and I'm like, I think these just like keep going. And I'm pretty sure they were walking because they knew these just keep going. So you're probably going to have to conserve your energy a little bit.
Eventually, probably some of those people that walked started passing you too.
Right? I would put all my money on it. Oh yeah, for sure. I ran a few hills and then started getting trashed early on, and then there's just more hills, and I was like, I'm so stupid.
Yeah, but you just learn that. But yeah, I mean, there's no, even any training runs, if you got to walk. Yeah. And it'll help you in the long run in your ultras too, because you're going to walk. You have to be able to, when you run and then walk, it helps your body when you come into an aid station and sit down for a couple minutes, and then you get back up, you're not going to be as tight if you're doing that in your training, doing the run walk. So
Yeah, I probably should incorporate that a little bit more because I do some walking on like hills and stuff, but
yeah,
I don't do a lot of walking.
yeah,
But
I won't walk. I won't usually walk in a 25 to 30 mile run if I'm running pretty flat, other than the hills. But whenever I'm running with somebody else that isn't where I am in running, I run their pace. And when they walk, I walk. I'll push them when they need to be pushed, but you're not out there to show anybody up. And I always have to remember too, I can run fast by myself anytime I want.
yeah,
So it helps to run with I don't want to say less caliber, not slower runners,
yeah.
just we're all different. We're all different. We
I
all
feel you.
not everybody.
I'm definitely not on your level, which is one of the reasons I wanted to do the 50K is because I just want to. Because I'm not even at that point in my training where I feel like a 50K is like something
Right.
that fits into my training at all. But I wanted to. I don't. Because it's funny because you mentioned ego. I still I have a little bit of that ego thing where I'm just like, well, even though I'm not really at that point in my training, it's fine. I can definitely run it. I can definitely run a 50 miler right now. If I like really came down to it, like I believe that I could run a 100 miler right now, but a lot of that is ego. You know what I mean? Because in my
Yeah.
head, I'm
Oh
like,
yeah.
yeah, I can do a 100 miler right now,
Right.
but when I honestly don't know though. If I'm like, it's like both sides of the coin.
Absolutely. Oh yeah. You're where I was a few years ago.
Yeah. I'm probably going to be humbled at some point with this, but
Yeah.
it's part of it.
Yeah. I think yeah. I may. You never know. I may have a bib for Nomies and run it with you. I have a 24-hour race the following weekend. So,
Really?
but it's not my race, really. I'm running it with Jen, the girl I'm training.
Hmm.
So it's her race and she's got her goals. And I promised her I'd stay by her side the whole way. So it all depends on how I feel. I leave we leave a week from today for Arizona I'm pacing and crewing a friend of mine running a 250-mile race out
Oh
there.
yeah, you mentioned that.
Yeah. Yeah, we leave next Saturday. So it's all going to depend on how much running I do out there, how I feel, but there's probably a 50-50 chance I'll have a bib and I won't tell you till the time race starts.
Yeah,
And I'll run it with
like
you.
the slot machines. We'll just see what happens.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It all depends. I mean, it's going to depend on tonight too. I'm nervous in a way. See how my body's going to react. You know. And the other thing is too. I just switched HIV meds. I don't know if that's playing anything in how I feel either. I have
Yeah.
blood work. I have blood work done Thursday, but I haven't got the results yet. So I don't know.
Did you start feeling a little like different around that time? I guess COVID also corresponded, I guess, with your change in HIV.
It did everything. That's the crazy thing. Yeah. I had been on the meds probably about 3 weeks prior to me getting COVID. So I don't think it's meds. I think it was COVID. I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure the meds are doing what they're supposed to do.
There definitely are some long people that get like a little bit of lingering effects for a little while
Yeah.
and it dissipates slowly,
Yeah. I still can't taste and smell 100%.
That's like a common one that I found.
Yeah, that is. I mean, and that's the only true. I didn't go get tested because I'm not blowing up the fucking numbers for my stupid government.
Oh yeah, I feel
So,
it.
I mean, when it was obvious when I couldn't taste and smell, and my friend I was with 6 days prior tested positive, I got it. There's no doubt.
Yeah.
You don't
And that's
just
the
lose
thing
your
where it's
taste.
like
You don't get
if you get really sick and you need to go to the hospital, then you will. If you don't,
yeah.
then so I don't see what a test is going to do to change.
Exactly. I already know it. I can't taste and smell. I know I got it, but I never had a fever, a cough. I mean, I ran my second fastest half marathon with COVID.
Yeah. So it's
You
kind of
know,
yeah.
yeah,
That's one of those things where, it's just like, you just see what happens.
right.
It's,
But it was, I mean, yeah, the after effects were worse than the actual thing to me. Just the exhaustion that I felt, you know.
yeah.
But
That's always a thing. Like anything that that brings down my ability to like exert effort and focus is what really is the most difficult for me. Because I
yeah,
even if I'm tired, I can still kind of focus. I can exert effort, but when that's like taken away, then it's
it's
really
hard.
hard. To,
Well, it used to be, it's not as bad anymore, but maybe 3 years ago, whenever I would get sick, as recent as 3 years ago, it would always be that in the back of my mind am I getting AIDS? I really don't believe that way anymore. My body, I quit believing that I have HIV. So if you don't believe you have something, that's half the battle. I take the pill religiously like I'm supposed to, and I do everything else. But there's still that other, when you get sick and you feel your own mortality because you do have, kind of a life threatening disease. You're like, fuck, is this the end? Fuck, fuck, fuck. But that was 3 years ago. Now it's just a fleeting thought, fuck, is it the HIV? No, you asshole, you took your pill, you're good.
yeah.
That's how I have to talk to myself sometimes.
That is like definitely a thing I didn't think about is like because like I will definitely like I even like this past week I will get into situations that I'll blow out of proportion. Like I
Right,
generally am pretty chill and laid back, but there are just like some things that like I just start thinking about, and I'm just like and I just can't quite get myself over that hump of like looking at like, well, it could be this, and it could lead to this, and then I'm gonna have to
right,
deal with that, and it's really hard to process that.
right.
And you've been having to like deal with that for years.
Ah, yeah, but you just learn.
Yeah, that's what I
You
guess is
just,
interesting. Do you
it
think
is
running helped with that at all? Like, do you like do you think it was running, or do you think it was like time and life
a
experience?
little bit of both. A little bit of both. I mean, running is just such a metaphor for life and never giving up. In my mind, so it all coincides with each other. And yeah, in time and experience, and looking back, always remembering like when I say, our past is that reference book that we keep up on a shelf and we dust off to bring down. You learn from that. You don't relive that past. But yeah, you look back and you're like, wow, I remember when I thought this way, and now look how I thought or think. You know, I don't have
Yeah,
to think that way anymore. You know,
it'll be interesting, like looking back at like the me of like 5 years ago, and it'll be strange.
yeah,
It seems like it's not like that was not me. Like it was a different person that looked like me.
right,
It's like this weird thing. I'll just like look back on it, like, nah, that wasn't really me. Like that was because it's like you shed,
yeah,
like you shed whatever after like certain, amount of years.
right. Well, we're doing a house up in Akron, and um, the neighborhood we're driving through is the hood, basically. It's not. It's just funny. The hood of Akron compared to the hood that I'm used to, Detroit, it's a big difference. But when I still see the tent city and the homeless and that, I'm like, my buddy Jeremy was with me, and I'm like, dude, it's not that far removed from me. I see those people. No, I didn't do the same things they did. I didn't stand on the corner begging. I had my own way, my own gig going on. But you look, and I have nothing. I really don't have sympathy because, shouldn't say that. I have a whole lot of empathy. Um, I don't have sympathy because I look at myself, which I probably shouldn't, I was there by a choice. I don't know that all those people are there by a choice. You know, some of them may have worse mental disorders or whatever that lead them out there. But working in that neighborhood every day last week, driving through it, it was just a good reminder, of just what you said, the skin we shed, the past that, you know, it's hard to believe I was that person at one time.
Yeah, it's almost like you like jumped into like a crazy VR game, and then you played that character for a little bit, and then like you pop out of it, and then now you're you now, and like you
Yeah,
have all the lessons from the experience that you had, but it's
right,
like that wasn't me. I just was experiencing that part in a different way.
right. Or yeah, part of it might be, that might still be living in me. Part of my a bunch of different alter egos that could be triggered at any time too. That's why I
Yeah,
stay focused and positive too. So those other personalities don't come out, which they can at times.
yeah. I think everyone really has multiple personalities.
I think so too. Yeah.
100%. Like I'm different than you with you than I would be with like a stranger who I don't know that I met at like I don't know or that I just started talking to at a restaurant or something. You know what I
Right.
mean? It's
Right.
I'm maybe not going to talk about some things, and I'm a
Oh
little
yeah.
with my girlfriend than I am with my family, and in
Oh
all the
yeah.
different variations.
Well, that's the people I'm living with right now. Their daughter's the one I run with, and she's always like, um, it's so fun to run with you because I can talk to things. And her parents are about my age. They're 5 years older than me. And basically, I could be Jen's father also. So she's always like, I can talk to things about you to you that I wouldn't want to talk to my mom or dad about, you know. So yeah,
Yeah,
we all have
different.
experienced that in different ways. Yeah.
It
And
is
that's
different.
just like, there's a lot of people that think they know me because I'm very open about DHIV, my past, and my addiction. But there's a lot more to me. There's a lot more onions layers, to me than just the recovery guide that I'm very open about on Facebook. That's not the total me.
Yeah, yeah. That's like probably the greatest gift I feel like I ever got in life was the ability to have people in my life that I can be completely myself and be
Right.
completely open because I think everyone goes through a period where especially younger like when you don't have that and you feel like you can't be yourself and express
Yeah.
yourself and that starts like it starts doing something like it starts weighing very very heavily. It's
Yes,
really
it
hard
does.
to do.
Yep.
But yeah, it's so. I mean, that's why I don't know. That's why I just think the whole one reason that's why I like you because I feel like I'm not going to offend you with anything. I don't have to watch. I don't have to
Right.
watch my words. Like we both came from the military, so we know
Yeah.
like the level
Yeah.
of offensive shit that can be said that you couldn't
Exactly.
say
Yeah.
to other people outside of the military.
Yeah,
You
because
know,
they'll look at you like you're nuts. Yeah.
yeah, and that was one of the biggest attractions. I think that's also one of the biggest hard parts for people who then get out of the military is like you
Oh,
don't
it
have
is.
that. And it's not even just it's not even just like the friendship brotherhood. It's just that ability to be like I can say anything and it's gonna be cool. You
Right.
know,
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. Yep. And yep. Yeah. That could be another whole podcast there.
well, we can turn that into a whole nother
Right.
podcast probably.
Yeah, but all of a sudden we'll be oh that racist bunch, the middle aged. For me, the middle age. You're a little younger, but because I'm military middle aged white guy, I'm racist. You
Yeah,
know? Yeah.
which that's the type of thing where it's just you like everyone like if you really know who you are it's still hard to deal with other people's opinions but
It
it
can be.
definitely
Oh yeah.
helps a lot like it
Yeah.
helps at least and was even just having that support group where like I have people who know me so even if that person doesn't like me or whatever it is like
Right.
I have my tribe I have my people like I'm
Yeah.
good
Yep. Yep. Absolutely.
but Yeah, I think that kind of covers,
Cool.
everything with the
Well, you're
podcast.
part of my tribe now.
Oh yeah, that's I think it's funny too that I've had this experience a few times in my life where I've met someone and like then not had like we've seen each other in person once,
Right.
I
Yep.
think,
And we
but
both had the same. We both had the same shirt on that day.
yeah, that was the key. But
Yeah. That was.
it's funny because like we can see each other one time, and then like one time however whenever we met last, which was
I think
like
it was like 2 years ago.
it was something close to yeah, it was
Yeah.
2 years ago because I ran Mohican in 2008
Yep.
18, I think. Yeah, it would have been like 2 years ago,
Yeah.
which crazy. But then just to like to only see you in person one time, but also like I legitimately consider you my friend, and
Yeah.
and I
Me too.
feel like and I
Yep.
feel like I can just be myself with you.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yep. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Thanks
keep.
for doing this again too. Like
Oh
I
yeah,
don't
no
know.
problem.
I think you're fucking awesome.
Well, thank you.
And
So are
I'm
you.
excited to do
You
all
make a
this.
difference too. So keep October 4th in your mind. That's gonna be your first 100.
You're,
Well, I'll do it with
you're
you.
scaring me right now, but we'll see what happens.
All right. All right. Think about it.
Yeah, I will. I
All
will.
right.
We'll see what
Thanks,
happens.
Wes.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
All
I'll
right. All
talk to you
right.
later.
I love you, bro. I'll
I
talk
love
to you
you too.
later.